Welcome back to the latest episode of the Key and Mang Audio Experience. I'm your host, Mang. As always, I'm my fellow co-host, Key. Key, what's good?
What's up, man? How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm lovely. Can't complain.
What are you drinking today?
Coffee. Coffee and water. Coffee and water. I bought a new bottle from Marshalls, and I was
Okay.
told it doesn't fit me, so I get a new one.
Why?
Um,
You were
it
told
has a
that
lot
bottle
of
doesn't fit
weird
you?
stuff, huh?
You were told that bottle doesn't fit you?
Yeah, I bought it because, like, at first glance, I just saw "Life is Good," and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice one." Like, it just said "Life is Good" on it with different stickers. And then when I look at it, it has like a lot of like hiking themed stuff and like outdoor stuff, and it's definitely not my vibe. But I guess it worked.
But look, the purpose of it is to be able to drink your water. So if it means that, you got hiking stickers on it and people are like, what's going on? Then whatever.
Yeah, but that's what I'm drinking.
Okay. Okay.
What are you drinking? I know you're drinking something.
I had some apple cider, some hot apple cider.
It's crazy. Is that like a is that like the fat burning tea stuff?
No, 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 no. You think I would engage in fat burning? Nah, nah, nah. Nah, just the packets of apple cider from Costco.
Gotta
It's
try it.
good. It's good.
I'll try it. I have some in my
But I
house.
like, yeah, see? Yeah, in your sleep if you haven't tried it before.
Whatever.
Mm, yeah, all right, for another time. But today's episode, we each decided to embark on the journey of reading a little more and trying to read a book a month because we want to apply the stuff that we learned from the books. So the first book that we started was Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman and Mark C. Winters. And because we're a business of partnerships, we're trying to figure out our roles in our business to make sure that our business can flow optimally and we can get the best results possible. But when you're working with another person or a couple different people, you gotta account for different personalities, different ideas, and different roles, and making sure that everyone's on the same page. So we're gonna do a review of Rocket Fuel, and we're gonna start it out with Key, kind of outlining who it's for and who would benefit.
So rocket fuel is for business owners or somebody who's looking to embark on a business and they know that it's going to require other people. So it's for those who work with a partner who have the same goal and they want to really make their business a success, whatever that looks like for them. And it doesn't mean that these two people or whoever is involved has to have the same thought process because everybody's going to have their certain strengths, their weaknesses, but it's about how to like cut out the fluff and merge those two personalities, those strengths and weaknesses together to create what they call rocket fuel, which helps to propel the business forward. So they talked about being a visionary versus an integrator. And I'm going to let Mang tell you guys what a visionary is.
Yeah, so a visionary, think of your person who has the big ideas, who always has ideas on deck and always like letting them be known out there. Have the entrepreneurial spirit, big problem solver, can create and maintain the relationships. And when it comes to like time to close deals or close sales, like they're the ones who's handling that. They're like they really look at the really big picture, to create the company vision, and they protect it. So once they have that idea and how they want things to be run, they don't want their idea or their flow to be changed. So very protective over their ideas. But with every pros, there's also things to look out for. And visionaries usually have trouble like letting go, have a big ego, and it's hard to let someone else fulfill their vision or trust someone to fulfill their vision. They get bored easily just because it requires, like, if you're trying to build a business, it requires a lot of focus to make sure that you're hitting the day-to-day stuff and that your systems are in order. And those are some of the things that they have trouble with. The integrator, on the other hand, is like kind of the opposite. They like the day-to-day stuff. They want to make sure that systems are in place. everyone's working together cohesively towards the vision of the visionary. They do the stuff like that not a lot of people want to do. Team meetings, firing people if they have to, being the bearer of bad news, making sure holding people accountable, making sure that everything is leading to the vision of the visionary. So it's a big responsibility, but some things to look out for is that sometimes their role can be overlooked. You don't get a lot of thanks for being on the day-to-day grind. Can be seen as the bad person because they're the ones giving out the bad news, and they have to balance a lot of responsibilities. And sometimes it's just hard to balance all those things when you got your job, you got your family, you got everything else going on, potential health things going on. So um, they got a lot of responsibilities too. But the two working together, if you can get the yin and the yang, it makes a great partnership and can help your 10x whatever x your business to make it successful for whatever you guys seem successful in your eyes. So then there's a little assessment in there in the book for the visionary and integrator, and I'm gonna let Key drop her scores first for in terms of what we have for PMA audio.
So on the integrator assessment, it basically asks questions based off of give you like statements and then had you rate 1 through 5, 1 being not fitting you at all, 5 being fits you the most. And it was scored out of 80. The closer you get to 80, the more integrator skills you have. So I scored a 49 out of 80 on that. And I thought it was really interesting because I actually did better than I thought I would do. And then on the visionary, I got a 64 out of 80. I thought it was cool because on both the integrator and the visionary assessment, like I could see myself being both. But I definitely related more to being on the visionary side. And I'll tell you guys why after Ming tells you his scores.
Yeah, so kind of similar to you. Our scores are kind of opposite if you're looking at them. But I was kind of surprised too. I think there's some of the statements in there that you can relate to both. Like I could see myself, all right, yeah, I have the quality of myself. Other things are like, nah, that ain't really me. But for the visionary, I got 54 out of 80 and integrator 71 out of 80 for Key audio. So I think we're a little skewed towards the opposite direction. But I think it makes sense after we did the assessment and then we talked about it and we were like, I think we kind of came to an agreement that yeah, you probably fit the visionary role better and I hit the integrator role better for this venture.
Yeah, for the visionary, I felt like I related more to the visionary because I do get bored very easily and I always have new ideas. And I think in the book they call it like whiplash, like hopping from one place to another, like one idea to another. And if you have a team of people, that can throw them off and make it hard for them to help you. So I felt like that was me. I do struggle with follow through, and I think that's why I believe in so much of like having a coach and having somebody holding you accountable. And I think that in this relationship that I'll have like a lot of ideas and you'd be like, all right, well, let's focus on this. So you kind of
Mhm.
like ground me. So which is important. And I think they had a question about managing a team, and I don't really see that to be too appealing to me. I feel like that would be more like a integrator role. I enjoy like networking with people. I don't really know about closing out deals because I haven't really had to do that yet, but I would be more interested in those type of things. The day-to-day stuff doesn't seem too appealing to me. So I thought it was cool the way they worded it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I feel like just based on those things, like for me, I like to like once we get the ideas like on the board or whatever, and like once we pick something, like let's hold on it because I think it's hard to focus on 4, 5, 6 different ideas and try and expect all of them to get done. I'm more of like let's figure out what's important first and knock that one out, and then we can go to the next one, knock that out in that process, just in terms of importance. So that's how my brain works. Not to say I don't get a lot of ideas too, because I do, but I think when it's time to like, I don't want to just be stuck or paralyzed by the fear of trying to get everything done It's just like, all right, let's start with one thing and knock that out, and then we'll move on to the next. So I think that's how my brain works. Um, I think, I think team is I like the idea of building a team and making sure that everybody's good. I think it's and everyone feels fulfilled. I think it's you realize that you can only do so much by yourself, and then when you have the right people around you, then you can really kind of go into different galaxies depend if you have the right team around you. So I think the idea of making sure that, your team is straight and everybody is, on the same page. I think that to me that sounds like a good challenge to see if you can make sure that everyone's on the same page at all times. But like I said, yeah, like there were things in Visionary that I thought like attracted to, but there are also things in Visionary that I attracted to. So I mean, Integrator that I attracted to, but kind of cool to see how, we're two different people in two different places, but we said we have differences in how we do things, but there's still some similarities based on how we scored on this as well.
So let's talk about how, if you go through this book, or if you don't want to go through the book but still want to figure out your role and whether or not you're a visionary or integrator. So basically, actually, I don't think that you could do that based off of this, based off not going through the book. But whatever. After you do the self-assessment on both of your personality traits, then you can like start to build out a chart where you're able to see like who has the role of visionary and integrator and what those things encompass. So this really gives clarity into like what you should focus on, as opposed to like Mang and I both trying to focus on the same thing and then stepping on each other's toes. It just gives a lot of clarity and like a blueprint on how you should function in your business. I think doing this was really easy because we pretty much, before reading this book, we pretty much already had our certain roles. But I think that if you're starting a new relationship or a new business and you're not really clear, it's important to develop an accountability chart.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it was nice also to have it on paper and not just have it in our head and being able to see it and like talk about what responsibilities are we in charge of and then also like talking about our like, core values and what we want this to be known as and putting that on paper and kind of discussing I think we should have this value because of this, and this, and then being able to discuss together, like if we're gonna narrow it down to five, what are the most important five, and then being able to problem solve that. I thought that was a fun activity exercise that we did because of this book. So I thought having the accountability chart just kind of got things clear, like you said, and it made it a lot easier to make sure that we're going the same direction moving forward.
I think also reading this book was kind of reassuring because although we didn't know about this book prior to getting a recommendation, we kind of were on the right track with a lot of these things. So that was
Mm-hmm.
reassuring. Do you want to talk about the five rules?
Yeah, so then once you do the accountability chart, then they lay out five rules that you should follow to make sure that your business is going to run successfully. I'll give you all a sneak peek, but you guys should read the book if you're thinking about getting in partnership with somebody or you're in a partnership with somebody in a business right now. First one, stay on the same page. So that just means checking in with your partner often, making sure they're okay physically, mentally, emotionally. You guys are partners and you want to make sure that you both are straight to ensure that the vision of the business can still continue to move forward. Second one, no end run. So not trying to, how like if if you're a kid and one parent says no, you go to the other one, trying to get them to say yes so that you can get whatever you're trying to get to. Essentially the same thing, like employees going to one manager or the integrator trying to get something the integrator says no. So then you go up to the visionary, ask for the same thing, and the visionary says yes, but you didn't know that the integrator said no, which goes into the checking in part, but also just trying to make sure that you're not causing drama or strife between the employees and the head and the people up top making the decisions. So trying to avoid that with clear communication and what's expected of each person. Number three, the integrator is a tiebreaker. Now, we talked about how the visionary sometimes has a hard time letting go, but this is the integrator's job to make sure that on the day-to-day that things are running well. And at then, if there's a split decision, the integrator is going to be the one to make the decision because they are the ones plugged in on a day-to-day basis. Um, and the integrator's job is to follow the core values and identify the core problem. And once the core problem is figured out, then they're going to figure out how to, fix the root of the problem instead of trying to, go about it another way. So making sure that environment is safe and open to have that discussion is going to be able to help, make sure that all the problems get solved and the whole team can come to a consensus on a solution. And then number four, you're an employee when working in the business. So if you're working, like if you're a visionary trying to build something startup, or if you're an integrator trying to work on the day-to-day systems, you both are employees until you build your team high enough or well enough that you can take a back role as the visionary. But until then, you're employed in the business, so you gotta be an employee. And the last one, you just gotta maintain mutual respect, for your teammates, for your coworkers, for your integrator visionary relationship. If you don't have respect, it's gonna crumble from the ground, and people are gonna see that and not gonna want to work with you. So respect is a huge thing in business and relationships and everything. So those are the five rules that will make sure that your visionary integrated relationship works.
I think I liked how they laid out, they had you do the accountability chart and then they talked about the rules because, for example, with the second rule, the no end runs, if you don't have that accountability chart laid out, you're going to have people trying to like do the end runs where like you say no and then they try to add somebody else. But if there's one person that's solely in control of making decisions, you kind of eliminate that. So I like how they sequence that, so that it gives you a little bit more structure and allows you to actually make sure the five rules are followed. So without that accountability chart, you kind of have people all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to finding your partner, I think it was cool how they laid out how to find the, like if you're integrator, how to find a visionary, how to find whatever the opposite. I don't even know what I just said, but how to find each other depending on which role you're currently at. And the thing that stuck out most to me was like having to go through all those steps and then it still possibly not work. Like if you're a visionary and then you go through all the steps to hire an integrator and it still might not work. I'm like, damn, it really does take a long time to like find the right person. And that just shows the importance of like vetting and then also being self-aware because you might have the right integrator, but you as a visionary might not be able to let go. You might still want control. So it goes back to like what we always talking about, like being self-aware and then also being patient because it might not happen right away. And then if something does go wrong, you can't just blame the other person. It might just be you as well.
Yeah, I think they also they give you kind of like the blueprint. They're like there's more rather they said there's more like integrators and visionaries, or it might be the other way around. One of the two that like there's more of one than the other, but it doesn't mean you can't find the person you're supposed to be working with. And they discuss like when you're a visionary and you hire an integrator, like you have to give them a long window. And that first couple months is just like training and letting them get used to the company and not trying to have them do everything from the jump. You got to let a person acclimate. You got to let the person get to know their team. You got to let the person know how the systems are set up, and so they can find their role in that integrator role to be able to thrive. And you can't just go 2 months, 3 months. They recommend like a year, but again, like you said, if you see that it's not working, then you gotta be able to be like, hey, like we need to go separate directions. So they did a good job of explaining both ends of the scenario, if it works and if it doesn't work. And then there are plenty of examples of what happens when a visionary finds the right integrator and how their business success just shot up because they had that good ebb and flow. And then other times where a partnership might dissolve because it just wasn't the right fit at that time, and that's okay. There's going to be more people out there to be able to find that right partner for you. So don't get discouraged if you find someone and you have to let them go because it just might not have worked out at the time.
Yeah. This book, well, prepping for this podcast, made me remember that question you asked me on one of these previous podcasts. It was like, I think you were like, "Do you think you would have a hard time giving up control?"
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was prepping for this podcast, I was thinking about that, and I think I probably would be the visionary that wants to like have all the control all the time and like struggle with letting go after we had that conversation. So I
Yeah,
thought
I
it was
know.
cool how the timing was. But for those that are interested in reading Rocket Fuel, it actually was a really like quick read. The way Mang and I broke it up was we did, I think, a chapter, like 2 chapters a week or something,
Yeah, two
40
to
pages
three.
a week.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a hard read, and it's something that if you break it up, it's easy to get through, especially when you have somebody else reading it with you and that you have to like discuss it with. So we met at, I think, after each week and like talked about our ideas. So if you are trying to read this book, I suggest that you like break it up and implement things as you go, as opposed to going through the whole book and then trying to do it.
Yeah, I agree. No, I thought it was helpful to, especially with trying to not just to read it, but to actually have game plan of, all right, this is what we read, this is how this can apply to KMA audio and to our individual things as well. So I thought it was nice to have that like meeting time to be able to discuss things and actually have be held accountable to get your chapters of the book done by the week so that we could have a productive conversation and not let the other person down. So I thought that was cool too.
Yeah. I also, one thing, before I read the book, I think I forgot who gave us this book recommendation. I think it was Paul.
Paul, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell? Why is it called Rocket Fuel? But after like reading the book, I understand like now how like the visionary and the integrator come together and create like this very like powerful fuel to make your business
Mm.
take off. So I thought that was pretty cool because if I just saw a book called Rocket Fuel, I'd probably be like, I'm not reading that. So the title
Yeah.
was dope.
Yeah. It makes sense after you read it. But no, I thought it was a good book. Recommend it for anybody that is in a business partnership and wants to is either starting or is currently in, just to help make your business run smoother. At the end of the day, make it very clear who does what the roles are to get back to your company vision and company values to make sure that those are being met and fulfilled. So definitely welcome recommend.
If you guys do end up reading the book or don't read the book and still have questions, drop them below. We could talk about it. And also, if you have any other book recommendations, also comment them so that we can check them out. And we'll be doing more book reviews in the future. So stay tuned for our next one. And as always, like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.